Did you see what went down with the Ravens? Coach John Harbaugh was absolutely furious with Kyle Hamilton after a play nobody saw coming. It was such a wild move that Harbaugh couldn't even believe someone actually did it, and it ended up costing the team big time against the Bills. But what exactly happened? Why did one of the defense's top players end up in the hot seat? And how did this all tie into the Ravens' narrow loss? Stick with me, because we're breaking down every detail of this scolding and showing how one decision could have changed everything in the final minutes. After that painfully close loss to the Bills, John Harbaugh didn't hold back. He was clearly frustrated and directed all his attention toward Kyle Hamilton, considered the crown jewel of the Ravens' defense. Harbaugh made it clear this wasn't just any mistake. It was a decision that could have completely changed the outcome of the game. To him, it made no sense, and it had to be called out for what it was, a completely foolish choice at a critical moment. The play itself was simple but dramatic. Hamilton intercepted a 2-point conversion attempt from Buffalo, and instead of just going down with the ball or try to advance a little, he tried to lateral it to a teammate. Harbaugh saw it as an unnecessary risk, the kind of thing every coach dreads in the final minutes of a tight game. It was as if he was saying, "Why are you trying something fancy now when all you need to do was protect the ball?" What's striking is that Hamilton is one of the team's defensive leaders, someone expected to make smart decisions under pressure. But this moment proved even the best can make mistakes that cost dearly. Harbaugh didn't just call out the error. He used it to send a direct message. Discipline and focus matter more than any flashy play. At the core, he wanted to make it clear that impulsive decisions won't be tolerated, no matter who you are. And it wasn't just a quick comment in the press conference. Harbaugh made sure to detail his frustration and make the scolding public. He was delivering a tough but necessary lesson on responsibility on the field. Fans, of course, were split. Some thought the scolding was fair, others thought it was over the top, but no one could ignore the seriousness of the situation. Hamilton's play wasn't the only thing that grabbed attention. Right after that, Harbaugh had to manage other questionable decisions and watch his team lose control of the game. His scolding of the defensive star opened up a bigger conversation about how individual and collective choices connected to the dramatic loss to the Bills. Right after the game, Harbaugh didn't hold back and even added a pinch of sarcasm to show just how frustrated he was with Hamilton. He went so far as to question whether Hamilton had even graduated from Notre Dame. This wasn't just about criticizing a play. It was a comment aimed at showing just how shocking he found the lateral attempt coming from someone who went through a top-tier university and elite training. This cutting remark got a lot of attention because it's not every day a coach publicly calls out one of his defensive leaders like that. Harbaugh wanted Hamilton and the whole team to understand that in critical moments, even one absurd decision can cost you dearly. It was part scolding, part warning. If you can't handle the basics, even the simplest moments can turn into a disaster. Plus, his irony sparked discussions among fans and analysts about leadership and accountability on the field. Some thought he went too far by publicly shaming Hamilton, while others saw it as a necessary reminder that no one is above discipline and focus. That line perfectly captures what happened, an attempt to turn frustration into a teaching moment, even if it came across harsh. And like everything in a tight game, this critique didn't happen in isolation. It tied directly into the chaos unfolding in the final minutes. While Hamilton tried to get fancy, the rest of the team also failed to maintain control, showing how one mistake can easily ripple through the whole squad. This episode makes it clear that Harbaugh isn't just trying to fix mistakes. He's driving home the point that individual decisions can impact the entire team. And that leads us to another angle. How Harbaugh's public frustration highlights the tension between accountability and leadership within the squad. It's no secret Harbaugh feels losses deeply, but this time he took it to another level. By directly calling out Hamilton, he combined frustration with public accountability, something that rarely goes unnoticed by players or fans. This approach puts pressure on the team, making it clear that mistakes don't just affect the scoreboard. They affect the trust and confidence the coach has in you. Fan reaction was mixed. Some thought it was fair to hold a key player responsible, showing that no one is above the team's rules. Others felt the public exposure was over the top, especially since Hamilton is a leader and focusing on one error could overshadow the collective problems that led to the loss. The public scolding creates tension, but also sends a clear message. Harbaugh doesn't accept excuses. Inside the team, this mix of frustration and accountability works as a warning. Even the best players have to weigh every decision, especially in critical moments. Harbaugh makes it clear that leadership isn't just about talent. It's about wisdom and responsibility. And that lesson isn't just spoken. It's felt in how every play can swing a game. The impact goes beyond just the play itself. It affects how the team approaches future games, reminding the roster that discipline and focus in crunch time are more important than any highlight reel moment. That delicate balance between accountability and learning is a hallmark of how Harbaugh handles dramatic losses. And that's why the spotlight on Hamilton can't be seen in isolation. He's part of a chain of decisions and moments that interconnect, showing how Harbaugh uses each mistake to shape the team's mindset and prevent collapses like this from happening again.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
While pointing the finger at Hamilton, Harbaugh also had to face his own role in the loss. In the final minutes, he chose to return the ball to the Bills instead of maintaining possession and controlling the clock, a decision that, in hindsight, was decisive in Buffalo's comeback. It's a reminder that even when scolding and teaching, a coach still carries responsibility for the final outcome. This shows how individual and collective decisions blend together. Hamilton tried to get fancy. Harbaugh made risky calls, and a defense that once looked solid collapsed. The result? A dramatic loss no one forgets easily. This moment proves that leadership isn't just about calling out mistakes. It's about taking risks and learning from them yourself. Harbaugh's public critique of Hamilton, therefore, wasn't a standalone scolding. It came in a context where the coach himself made questionable decisions. That tension creates a stark contrast. While demanding discipline from players, he also has to demonstrate he can manage the team under pressure. This mix of frustration, accountability, and risky choices puts the team on high alert for future games. Every player understands that in crunch time, even small decisions can have huge consequences. And this collective learning starts with moments like the scolding of Hamilton. Which brings us to the final point. How these criticisms and decisions affect Hamilton himself and the defense's motivation, setting the stage for the team's response after the loss. The Hamilton episode wasn't an isolated incident. Harbaugh has a history of dramatic late-game collapses, and this loss of the Bills is now part of that story. His harsh words to Hamilton fit a pattern. He tries to turn frustration into a teaching moment, but it doesn't always prevent the team from repeating mistakes. The coach understands that leaders must set an example, which is why public criticism happens. But the challenge is balancing accountability with confidence. Hamilton, despite the error, remains a key piece, and Harbaugh knows he must motivate him, not just reprimand him. This tension between scolding and leadership is part of the challenge of guiding a team striving for consistency in critical moments. Also, each loss like this reinforces a narrative that the team still needs to mature under pressure. Harbaugh uses every mistake as a learning point, but fans and analysts debate whether this approach really helps or just adds more stress instead of strengthening the team. The key takeaway is that even with public frustration, Harbaugh wants Hamilton and the entire roster to understand the value of making the right decisions on the field. He's trying to turn mistakes into lessons, but that depends on discipline, focus, and collective learning. And this whole story, from the scolding to the risky lateral to the dramatic loss, leaves a clear takeaway. The Ravens need to bounce back, learn quickly, and adjust their mindset to avoid collapsing like this again in future games. At the end of the day, Harbaugh's scolding of Kyle Hamilton shows that even the biggest stars can make mistakes that cost dearly. That risky lateral, combined with the coach's own decisions in the final minutes, turned a game that seemed under control into a dramatic loss for the Ravens. Every detail, every choice mattered, and Harbaugh made it clear that discipline and focus outweigh any flashy play. But it's not just about blaming someone. This episode sends a message to the whole team. Leadership requires responsibility, and every decision on the field can change the course of a game. Hamilton felt the weight, Harbaugh delivered the scolding, and now the motivation to fix mistakes and bounce back is stronger than ever. So, do you think Harbaugh was too harsh on Hamilton, or was the scolding completely fair given what happened? One thing's certain. The Ravens need to learn fast from this if they want to turn their next game around and prove they can handle these critical moments.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.